Everybody, Jason Klum of the Comedy on Vinyl podcast here, doing a comedy album a day for all of 2017. I noticed today earlier on Neil Innes's Twitter that somebody had mentioned that this year is the 50th anniversary of the first Bonzo Dog Doodah album band album. You know what I'm saying. Bonzo Dog Doodah band album. And that album is 1967's Gorilla, which was actually released, I think, around October 1967, but it's close enough, and it's a good enough excuse to listen to this. This is the only Bonzo Dog album that I own a hard copy of. I have some of their stuff digital, but this was a perfect excuse to give this sucker a listen. It's hard to tell. Well, not hard to tell, actually. This is a really shitty copy that I have. It's the American Stereo edition, which is actually missing one song called Big Shot off of the English release. And this is just a way of getting around to saying this is one of the best things I've ever listened to. It took forever, people have been insisting for a while that I should listen to the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band more. I've known them for years, but like to listen to a full album, which is the whole point of this, it's taken me a while to get around to it. The last time we did it was actually episode, I'm going to have to pull it up here, 190 something or other, with Jeffrey Weissman back in October of last year. Jeffrey Weissman played George McFly in Back to the Futures 2 and 3. Yeah, episode 198. So if you go to comedyonvinyl.com, you can listen to us talking about Tadpoles, which is another of their albums, and a great album. But Gorilla's their first, and it's just so mind-bendingly wonderful. It might, if you are a big fan of the Beatles, or if you're a big fan of other psychedelic music of the time, this might seem just familiar to you, but it's pretty early in the development of psychedelic stuff, and it's not strictly that either. They started out as a jazz band, and so this is very jazzy with this other mix of it's hard to explain. It's to the point where it's also hard to necessarily categorize this specifically as a comedy album. It's obviously a music album, but there are sketch bits in it enough that I consider it a comedy album. All the music's funny. I mean, they even go out of their way to make the music, I hate to say make the music a character, but they do, they've got a whole song on here that is them playing jazz poorly, although rhythmically and beautifully underneath it all, but playing the kind of jazz that they're used to playing pretty poorly. That's Jazz Delicious Hot, Disgusting Cold. The back of this, by the way, also wonderful. This collage by Vivian Stanshall, if I'm not mistaken, as well as the cover, is just fantastic. It's great. Man, it's just, this is my kind of music anyway. My favorite band of all time is XTC. They're very eclectic. This sort of, I don't know, it's very comforting to me. So this just really hits a spot. And it's actually a perfect medium, and we talked about this with Jeffrey Weissman, between Monty Python and the Beatles. And these guys were friends with both of them. That's the weird, crazy, insane thing. They were on Do Not Adjust Your Set, children's show with a bunch of the Monty Python guys. They appear playing, I think, the Urban Spaceman in Magical Mystery Tour as themselves, as the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band. That's like, you look through these different periods of pop culture and you try and find the hubs. Like, you've got your shining stars, pardon me, you've got your planets, okay? But sometimes people don't notice what's actually at the center, and the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band was pretty much at the center of great, at least British pop culture. And it's interesting that, fewer people are aware of them than the Beatles, than Monty Python, just because, where they went. Their trajectories were completely different, and this band had its, they had their own history. So I can't recommend this album enough. This is one that I absolutely would instantly say please go out and buy, because it's absolutely of my taste, but it's also just historically great. The Bonzo Dog Doodah Band, also interestingly enough, I've always really liked Winchester Cathedral, and the New Vaudeville Band, which was a studio band that played similar music to this, but it was just cute. It was old jazz, music hall-y type of stuff. Bonzo Dog Doodah Band was at one point invited to be the New Vaudeville Band when they finally went out in person. Instead, they refused, and they went their own direction. They didn't want to be confused with this particular movement, so they went rock. And that's also fascinating to me. These guys are true artists. They started out in art school together. And I don't know, I'm not really explaining all the music as well as I guess I could, because it's very, very hard. I mean, there are covers on here. One of the best bits on here is the quote-unquote cover of I Left My Heart in San Francisco, which is just a crooner singing the first line of that song, a big clap break, the next line, a big clap break. That's it. It's just a parody of the idea of people clapping excessively for something rather than just listening to it. It's super ahead of its time in that way. And you can see again why the Beatles would like them, why they like the Beatles, and really specifically why they would like, why Monty Python sounds the way it does. Neil Innes is, he permeates that and that world. And some of the first Monty Python stuff I ever listened to was their music. So there's an inextricable link that needs to be appreciated there. So 1967's Gorilla by Bonzo Dog Doodah Band. It's fantastic. It's wonderful. If you would, subscribe to us on iTunes, on YouTube as well, please. YouTube.com/comedy. You're already there. I forgot to tell the Instagram people to come here. It's fine. Subscribe to us on iTunes if you would. Follow us on Twitter at Comedy on Vinyl. We're everywhere at Comedy on Vinyl. We're on Facebook, all that good stuff. Let us know what you think. Do your own comedy album a day. Why not? You can still catch up. Hashtag it Comedy Album a Day. I'm Jason Klom. And as always, have a good thing.